Rock Stars.
Rock Stars Girls Lacrosse.
Rock Stars Girls Lacrosse.
The Rock Stars Girls Lacrosse Show with hosts Ronnie Davis and Craig Spazman Simmons.
What's up, everybody?
Good morning, good afternoon, I guess I should say. To me, it's morning.
It's officially afternoon, I think.
It is, and this is, we're back with the Rock Stars Girls Lax podcast with me, Ronnie Davis, and Craig the Spazman Simmons.
What's up? It's been an eventful week.
It really has. Last week we finished up with going over the All-Americans in Section 5 and the Rock Star, I don't have all the information on All County yet. That will come out hopefully on GLAX 5.
They released Finger Lakes, they released the Independents, but they have not released Monroe County.
Okay. And what did we have? We had two All-Americans out of the Finger Lakes, Andra Savage.
I believe the only All-American was Emma Arnold.
No, and Andra Savage.
Okay, Savage got it. I thought that was an Under Armour All-American.
Nope, they got two All-Americans out there in the Finger Lakes. And
both deserve it.
Yeah,
both deserve it. No doubt about that.
They both are well deserved of that. And then we recapped a little last week about our Section 5 Monroe County All-Americans with Kate Mashesky and Ellie Mooney and Morgan Schwab. Out of the let's say 5 All-Americans, right? Between Monroe County and Finger Lakes, 3 of them are seniors, and 2 actually went very early in the recruiting process before the rule changed when she committed to the University of Virginia. So she was one of 2 girls in the area, along with Loren Blakesley, to commit early. And Andra came a little later. She's going to Towson, but her recruiting process came with, the rule went into effect on Sunday, Easter, several years back there's no contact at all once that rule went into effect until September 1st, their junior year. So Andra got to go through what's called the tour, right, along with all the rest of the 2020s in the country that weren't committed to schools prior to that date. And what that means is, leading into our subject of club lacrosse, each age group now is given a 1 year, what we call tour, year and 3 months, right? So from September 1st of their sophomore year to November, just after the third weekend in November of their junior year, we call that their tour, that weren't committed to schools prior to that date. And what that means is, leading into our, there we go. So what I was just saying,
that was weird.
Yeah. What I was just saying is that so each age group is given a year now, right? A year and a couple months is a tour.
Yeah.
And the tour means that's when you go play, and the college coaches can come watch and evaluate, and basically pick their kids that they want to recruit.
And you're talking about tournaments. Go and play at tournaments like we'll get to the Live Love Lax that was over the weekend. I looked at the list of colleges that were going to be, and all the big ones were there. Syracuse, everybody was
there.
Yeah.
But these tournaments, Spaz, not everybody can get into. There's 350 teams, and between the Live Love Lax and Lax for the Cure, which is next weekend, and then G8, and then Mid-Atlantic the following weekend, not every club can get in. Based on a lot of it's based on their talent level, their skill level, there's different brackets and different divisions for lesser teams.
So it's not a first come first serve.
No.
Okay.
They sent out like a pre-link to the clubs that they need there, and for good reason. I mean, you want the Yellow Jackets there, right? It's the Yellow Jackets tournament too, by the way. Them in steps, but you got to have M&D there, and you got to have the Skywalkers there, and you got to have the Heroes there, and TLC, and now even Monster Lacrosse is fitted into that category, because that's where all the college coaches, those are the clubs that the college coaches want to go see.
And they try to match everybody up evenly. It's that they don't want, like in wrestling parlance, jobbers out there where one team is going to beat a team by 30 points. They
Correct.
Try to match them up evenly.
Yeah, because the college coaches don't want to see, they don't even care about the score of the game, to be honest with you, but they don't want to see a lopsided game, because they're trying to look at kids on both sides.
You're not going to learn anything in that situation.
If you can just make it a competitive game, it's you're doing pretty good.
Sure.
Especially at that level, playing against those top teams. So, but that's what going back to what I was saying about the tour for right now the 2021 class, which is they're just graduating from 10th grade. They're on tour right now, and so they're going. I know I can speak for my Rochester 2021s and my Monster team. We're scheduled to be in all the top tournaments, in all the top brackets. And over the weekend my 21 team played Capital Lacrosse Club, and they lost 11-7. The game was tied 7-7 with 6 minutes left. Capital is probably the number 121 team in the country.
Okay.
Where
are they out of?
They're out of DC area.
Okay.
They're excellent. And the time before we played them, we beat them once, and then we played them not too long after that, and it was an 18-3 beating. And then we come back, play them this time to basically a 3-goal game, which says wonders for our Monster program and our 21 kids, because there's some really good kids on that team. But to my point of it was like a buffet of college coaches on the sidelines watching this game. I mean, literally, I can say there's 150 college coaches all lined up, chairs, iPads, notepads, sitting there diligently watching this lacrosse game.
Now, can they record, or is it just they can only do digital stuff like you said, record or take notes and that kind of thing? Can they record?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I'll say this is that each game was filmed. So, and I do believe the college coaches have access to that film. So,
okay, yeah, I was looking at that, and I saw that they have a specific video company that handles that.
Correct.
That's got to be a lot of work.
Yeah, they got these towers up, and it's a major event.
Speaking of which, Jim from SC Video, he asked me if I can tape this weekend, and I said, yeah, and then I haven't told him this yet, so if he's watching, he's going to find out. And then he says, do you mind doing it on scaffolding? Deal breaker. The answer is
not.
No.
Scaffolding.
Not happening, Jim.
And by the way, you were expecting 30 to 40 mile an hour winds this weekend too.
It's not happening. So I don't. Do you know the tournament he's talking about?
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh yeah, probably the Sweet Lax Invitational.
Okay.
It's local here. It's a boys tournament.
All right. Well, not happening. I'm a ground guy. I don't climb, Jim. I don't climb, Ronnie. So, all right. Sorry to sidetrack you.
That's okay. So what I'm telling you is that in these tournaments, what an opportunity for our kids, for this right now it's our 21s. There were some college coaches at the 22 games as well, but our 21s, white and purple team, right, were there, and there's just a ton of college coaches everywhere. And then I couldn't walk 5 feet without a college coach coming to me and saying, hey, I have interest in this kid. Hey, I have interest in that kid.
Okay.
And also, that was, the big schools. You got Carolina, you got Maryland, you got Virginia, you got Northwestern was there.
They're all there.
All of them. And it was funny. They're just waiting. It was like I was, giving interviews. It was like I needed to get to the 22 game because that's the team I coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching the 21 game, but I started to make my way to the 22 field, and I was late for the 22 game because I'd have to talk to this college coach, take another 2 steps, talk to this college coach. Literally, they were lined up waiting to talk to me about the kids.
I was going to ask you: is there information that they are gleaning from you? Do you have the right to give them the information about the kids? And how much information do you give as the coach?
So I can give them. The rule is I can give them all the information they want. They can gather all the information, and it depends on each school what they're looking for. Okay, so for instance, Harvard came up to me, right? She's like Harvard, and her name's Devin Wills, and she's this is we have general interest in these 3 kids. Are they, first thing out of their mouth, are they Ivy League kids? Meaning, do they have the grades?
Mm-hmm.
2 of them, yes. 1 of them, no. Right? So she marks down, okay, these 2 kids we can pursue because we know that they can get in. The other kid, is not an Ivy League kid. So why bother recruiting if that's going to be the case?
Yeah.
So, and also they want to get the kids on campus to their camps as well. We like what we see in this kid. We have general interest. That's the term, general interest. We have general interest in this kid. Is there any way you can get him the information and get him to my camp?
So are they asking you for data or opinion or both?
But not data, meaning yes, in grades and so forth, and they definitely ask my opinion. Can this kid play here? Is this kid athletic enough? And I'm very honest about it. I definitely do not, lie or fib or any one bit about it, because it would come back to haunt me later if I say,
Sure.
hey, yeah, this kid could definitely play for you. She's does this and this great, and if she doesn't do that and that great, and she gets there, the coach is going to say, hey, you told me about this kid, and it's not what you told me. So
Well, it's just like any other business. You're putting your name on it. You want to make sure that it's going to, come to fruition or won't come back to bite you.
correct.
Yeah.
And the kids, like I said, the pressure. Okay, you're out there. For one, you're playing the number one team in the country. You're in the top bracket, and you have 150 college coaches there watching, and their mental toughness to get through that. I mean, look at their future coaches are watching them right now and deciding, are we going to offer this kid a scholarship? Are we going to invest in this kid? So I thought they handled the mental pressure very well as well, because we try to prepare them for it.
I was going to say, do they know going in what's going to happen? Do they think, cool, we're going to another tournament, excuse me, or do they know the pressure cooker that they're about to throw themselves into before they get there?
No, they know beforehand, because right now they're kind of in the middle of their tour, so they've already went through the fall last year. And you see some kids melted down. Some kids played great, some kids melted down. But I think this weekend really showed that the kids, went out there and regained their mental toughness and played to the best of their abilities in front of those coaches. And that's really all you can ask for at that point.
And this was in Maryland, right?
This was in Maryland.
Live, Love, Lax we're
Live,
talking
Love,
about?
Lax,
Yep. Yeah, because I checked it out. I kind of like the what is it? What's the cause? Live,
Love, Lax. It's in a foundation built about a girl named Yardley Love, who was tragically killed by her boyfriend.
An abusive relationship. Yeah,
abuse situation. So, it's a great fundraiser. They raised over $65,000.
Nice.
For the One Love Foundation.
One Love, that's it.
One Love, yeah.
Well, what I like about, not to step on your toes, what I like about the One Love, I checked into it. They they don't just say domestic abuse is men onto women. They also recognize that men can also be the victim of that type of abuse. So I just want to throw that out.
Yeah, it was very tragic, and I thought that since then they've done an absolutely outstanding job in making awareness of the domestic abuse. And there were people there with flyers, and it just wasn't, hey, come give your money and play. They had people there that were, if you wanted to talk about it or learn more about it, you could do that and so forth. So I thought it was very well put together and a great cause. And two of these tournaments, the major tournaments this summer, next weekend is Lax for the Cure, right? It's breast cancer.
Yeah.
And they've raised millions of dollars from Lax for the Cure for breast cancer. So next weekend is really important to us too, to go down there and show our support for breast cancer.
Now, where's this at?
That's in New Egypt, New Jersey.
Okay. Jersey.
Yep. And it's another one where there's going to be hundreds of college coaches. It's the biggest championship style tournament of the summer. That in Mid-Atlantic, which comes in July.
Now, can the coaches approach the players, or do they can only come to you and talk to you, or talk to the coaches, or what is their line? What can't they cross?
They can definitely not approach the players.
Okay.
But
they can watch, but can't.
Correct.
Okay.
And what they do is, the process is this: they say they start a board. Like, let's say you're North Carolina, right? And you just start your whiteboard, and you
got to
just
choose North Carolina.
And you start your board, and you say, okay, I like number 17 from Triple H, or number 5 from Capital, number 5 from Monster, and you start that board, and then you say, okay, we have general interest in these kids. That doesn't mean you're getting a scholarship offer come September.
Right.
It means they have interest, and if they're going to continue to follow and evaluate that kid, and come September, if it's a good fit and they want to invite you to campus to see the campus, they'll do that. So they basically start with probably a pool of 85 players, and they just dwindle it down. And each week they come. They're there every single week. It's not like they come one week and not the next.
What a living!
They're going to be over the next 4 weeks.
Sign me up,
right?
man.
over the next 4 weeks, they're going to be at every tournament, at every game, watching. They have, each school has several assistants, so they go to different things. And but it's just so important in my mind, what Monster Lacrosse has done is, we started our first tournament to start getting into these major tournaments. And like I said, it's a big process, right? You just don't go online and register. Because you got to compete also. And so when my 2020 team, we were current 11th graders, were going into 7th grade, in the summer of 6th and 7th grade, they let us, Lexford Cure gave us one team to come play. And they said, listen, if you get bounced, around out there, you're not going to be asked back, right? If you get murdered, you're not going to be asked back. The team that year, they went to the championship. They went to the championship and lost 3-2 in overtime to the Yellow Jackets, right?
Okay.
So he said, okay, well, you proved yourself. I'm going to give you one team next year, or one extra team next year.
Okay.
So next year I got a 2020 team and I got a 21 team. Well, the next year the 2020s didn't make the championship, but they did very well, and the 21s made it to the championship. So he's like, all right, I'm going to give you another team. So then he gave me the 22s. So now we had 3 teams there. And then after all 3 teams did very well, not winning a championship yet, right? I mean, winning a championship at Lexford Cure it's like a cage match, right? So then he opened it up for the rest of my teams. And from then on, I've been able to get, be on the pre-registration link. But the one hiccup that came this year was I only got one 21 team in, and not 2, because it's the highest demanded division, because that's the tour.
Yeah,
right?
I noticed that when I was trying to do some pregame in here. I did notice that everything was mostly 21s. There's information about everything else, but everything was heavy on it. So let me ask you, what is the process as you are with Monster? Yeah, what is the process when he says you're told, all right, I'm going to give you one team. You can bring one team. What is the process that you have to go through to figure out which one team that's going to be? Do you take a bunch of people from every other team and make one, or do you find one of the ones that you already have? What's that process?
Well, no, you can't do that because it's all age specific.
Okay.
So we have to, at that point, we only had 15 kids on our 2020 team.
Okay, so you only had one team. It's not like you had 2 or 3 to pick from.
Correct.
Okay.
So you always go from the top down as far as age group. But now it's just a simple process of as soon as the registration link, you get it at 10 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. By 10:03, it's sold out. So if you have 10 teams, you better have 5 people with computers sitting there trying to register, because you got to put your credit card information, you got to put all that information in.
Yeah.
Then you see who you got in. And the 21s sold out in like 37 seconds. So we were able to get one team in there, but it's the most demanding division.
How many teams are we talking about? You say it's sold out. How many teams is that?
In one division, so there's 8 divisions at 6 teams, so roughly 48.
Okay.
48 teams of that age group get in.
That's a great visual, though, because I watch Big Bang Theory, and you ever watch that? And they're trying to get tickets to the Comic-Con, and they sold out in like 12 seconds.
Right.
That's funny, just thinking of all you guys sitting around trying to, punch keys on the laptop to get in. That's funny.
That's exactly what it is, too.
Yeah.
Once you get, the registration link, the hardest thing is getting the registration link, and because it's pre. You get it. It's like a pre-invite to a party, and so like the local clubs around here, Common Goal, Relentless, FCA, they don't get the link, so they don't have the opportunity to go to Lax for the Cure and and stuff like that, because, like I said, they send it out the night before. They say, okay, this is the pre-invitation. If you don't like, we'll open it to the public at this time, but it's always sold out with the pre-invitation.
It sounds like trying to get a ticket at CMAC or something,
Right. So, but it's the rat race that this club lacrosse is in, and youth sports in general. But I can only speak about girls lacrosse. It's actually a rat race. But Monster we have fought really hard, because, like I said, if you don't do well, you don't get asked back. And then there's another tournament called the G8, and it's called the Great Eight.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was 8 teams, but now it's 12. But it's only the top 12 teams in the country are invited. And the criteria is you got to be able to field a competitive team at not only your purple teams, but your white teams, and for 3 straight levels of lacrosse, 3 straight age groups.
Okay.
So we finally got into this. We finally were considered, a top 12 team in the country,
Okay.
and we're there. And it's not championship style, but it's the most competitive environment I've ever been associated with in my life. Last year, when we went, there's 4 fields, and in between each field, like in between 1 and 2, there's a coach's area, right? It was 3 deep.
For all the college coaches.
All the college.
Yeah.
It was 3 deep. Between fields 3 and 4, there's another college coaches area. So the
That
college
sounds like
coaches,
it could be intimidating.
it's very, very intimidating. And like I said, every game's a cage match. I mean, nobody cares who the coaches don't care who wins as far as the college coaches. But the kids want to go out there and play. So it's like Monster versus Yellow Jackets, Yellow Jackets versus M&D, Monster versus M&D, Monster Skywalker, Skywalker's Capital. And so it's the best teams in the country pairing off with, now there's 300 college coaches watching. And
Oh, no pressure, kids.
no
Go have
pressure,
fun.
no
Go
pressure
have
at
fun.
all. And like I always tell my families, be careful what you wish for. And they're all like, we want to go to the G8. Can you get us in the G8? I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make a run at this. And I was able to get us in, but I was able to get us in by winning tournaments, by winning, competing and finishing high in these high level tournaments, playing against the Yellow Jackets and so forth. That's the only way you can get in, is go compete against those teams.
So it's not there's nothing that could say, hey, this is Ronnie Davis, man. We know Ronnie Davis. We got to let him in. He's got 5 national championships, man. We got to let him. Nothing on reputation.
0.
It's all on merit.
Everything.
And that I like.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how much I like. We're not going to get into a discussion about PC
Right.
and participation trophies and all that, which I'm okay with, by the way. But I'm just saying, it's nice that something is based on merit.
Yeah.
And I like that.
And that's the way I think, that's the way in girls lacrosse in general. I can speak in upstate New York, right? You have men's or boys tier 1 hockey, tier 2 hockey, tier 3 hockey, right? The problem with, especially in Rochester, okay, because there's a handful of club teams. I mean, there's Relentless Hustle, there's Common Goal, there's FCA, Monster. I think that's it. So 4 teams, 4 club teams, and the issue is, in my thing is I want to take the best kids, right? And Monster has evolved. We've worked real hard with it. I feel that we have the best players at every level. And we're putting them in the right places. But there might be one kid from another club that's the best player on their team, right? And would really benefit from Monster Lacrosse, right? The best players will benefit from Monster Lacrosse. The lower end kids should be at the lower competitive clubs, right? That don't go to the high end tournaments like we do. And I'm the first one to send kids, hey, look, at Monster may not be a right fit for you. Maybe you want to try this or this. A little less competitive. Nothing wrong with those other clubs. They're just not as competitive, right? I do believe, though, but the top kids, they need to get to Monster Lacrosse. If you're a great athlete, you need to get over here, because it's such a separation of talent. It's such a separation of athleticism when you compare our Monster to the other clubs. And there's a fit for everybody, and all the clubs are good because they provide softer landings for kids, which everybody needs. But I don't believe that the other clubs share my mindset on the best kids got to go play with the best kids. And but the parents eventually figure it out. And how I know this is because, like I said, we have the best kids from Fairport. We have the best kids from Victor. We have the best kids from Penfield. We have 2-3 kids from every single town of their best kids come to Monster Lacrosse. So that's why I know that that the parents are getting it, especially at the older levels. I think the parents need to start realizing it a little more at the younger levels, that, the sooner you get to Monster Lacrosse, and your kids are going to be able to play on those teams, the better off your kids will be.
I'm okay having this conversation too, because a lot of people would say, "Oh man, it's over competitive." Yeah, but that's what you're getting into. You're getting into that before you get into it, and we've lost that. And again, I'm trying not to make this about that conversation, but we've lost thinking it's okay for kids to want to win. We've lost that. It's okay for kids to want to be competitive. And I like that you're having this conversation. I like the way that you're having it. And you're not throwing other clubs under the bus. You're not saying, hey, we're better just because we're who we are. You're saying we're a better fit for the players who want the more competitive atmosphere.
Correct.
There you go. So, I mean, that's kind of rubbing the rhubarb of the parents who might take that in a way like, oh, because we're not playing for Monster, our kid isn't any good. You understand where I'm coming from? That's not the case. You're just saying Monster is they're finding the best competition that they can find. You're not running away from anybody, and yeah.
And the benefits pay off. And I'm Craig Chamberlain, if he's listening, he'd kill me right now for saying, but I always say, if you're on our top team, like our 2020 team, every single one of them, except one, has committed to a college secondary opportunity. And the last one got offers. She's just waiting to pick the right one. So we're pretty much we're 100%. We're a guarantee that if you're playing on our teams, and when it comes time to pick, or decide that you want to go to college and play lacrosse, we're a guarantee. We'll guarantee you that you're going to have an opportunity to play at a second, another opportunity beyond high school. So,
and with that said, if Craig wants to call in and holler at you, he can do so at 585-364-6004.
Right.
585-364-6004.
Love to have Coach Chamberlain call in, and he's our director of recruitment. He's our director of player development, and. The thing what we do is, like, this is obviously my full-time job is Monster Lacrosse.
Yeah.
Craig has been in this business and game a very long time, and that's what he does is he's got those relationships with those college coaches, and not only that, he's got a great reputation of sending kids going on his word, that when college coaches ask, that they listen to him. And the third thing is his ability to look at a kid and say, okay, you're not going to go to Carolina, you're not going to go to Maryland, but let's look at this, this school, which is okay, because the goal is to find the right fit for these kids. The goal is not to just send them.
I think the issue in that situation, Ronnie, is this: it always comes. The kids usually appreciate that a coach or somebody takes the time to tell them, you're not ready to go and play. You use North Carolina a lot.
I do.
You're not ready to go to play at Syracuse. You're not ready to go to play D1. You're a better fit at D2 or maybe even D3. It's the parents, it's mom and dads that usually, get upset. So I just want to throw it out there that normally the kid, mom and dad, let your kid be told that. It's okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay. Because there's nothing wrong with playing with the Lemoyne instead of somebody else. There's nothing wrong with it.
Zero wrong with it, and it's great for kids to have the ability to have those choices. And the reason why I use Carolina a lot is because we've only had one kid go to North Carolina from that I'm aware of in upstate New York, and that's Abby Friend from Canandaigua. And so the Carolina has no Rochester kids, so I can use them as a.
I got you. I'm just a Syracuse guy, and that's like saying Duke. The minute you start using Duke, I'm out. The headphones are off.
Okay,
and I'm out.
So I'm glad you said that, because I won't tell you that Duke lacrosse coach was standing 5 feet behind Coach Chamberlain for 3 games this weekend.
As long as he was behind, that's okay. As long as the coach was behind, that's all right.
Right. So our recruitment process is, and that's, to be honest with you, Spaz, that's the secondary thing we do. Okay, when you get, like I said, it's a guarantee. If you're on our teams, come your tour time, and you want to play college lacrosse, you're guaranteed to play college lacrosse. We're guaranteed to put you in a place.
I got you.
But the other thing is too is our training. Okay, we have our own indoor training center. We just signed a long-term lease with Brighton Sports Zone. They're putting up a building behind Brighton Sports Zone just for Monster Lacrosse. So our training, we play 11 months a year. And I know parents are out there saying, oh my God, I can't believe, my kid isn't going to play lacrosse 11 months a year. Mm-hmm. And my question is, why not? We if they can pick up a stick once a week for 48 weeks, right? We give a few weeks off. Why not? Why not pick up a stick for an hour, go out there and run and play? And, It's not like it's this high intensity thing for 52 straight weeks. So, but we do play year round. And I was talking to a parent last week, and the parent, she was concerned about the team her daughter was playing on, and whether it's white or purple and so forth. And, what I explained to her is, when you take your kid out of Monster Lacrosse and you put her with their scholastic teams, right? Modified team, JV, varsity, or even town teams, right? What do you see? Well, she says, everyone comes up to me and says, why is your daughter passing and catching so much better than everyone else? Wow, how did this happen? And, she said that. She goes, I have to tell them, Monster Lacrosse, the training that we provide year round separates these kids when they go to their scholastic teams, right? And the proof is in the pudding when you look at the Section 5, championships with Class A, B, C, and D, right? Mm-hmm. Both Rush Henrietta and Pittsford heavily, every single kid starter on Pittsford's team has touched Monster Lacrosse.
Well, they have to, don't they? Isn't that a written rule over there in Pittsburgh?
It's not, but it's the truth that every single kid has touched. I mean, even the three seniors, we don't have 19 teams, but Ellie Mooney, Anya Lucy, and Nora Anderson, the three seniors, those kids were born and raised Monster Lacrosse when they were little. Mm-hmm. Even the goalie, Grace Ann Sensible, she started her playing career in Monster Lacrosse she was a field player. She was a midfielder for Monster when she was in second grade. So, it just goes to show you. And then you got Rush Henrietta, you got Rhea Davis, Gabby Garrett, was a Monster when she was little. Jenna DeVito, Maddie Schmitz, Alexis Oshley. I go on and on and on. Courtney Rowe, of kids that are Monsters that are playing on the other side, right? So, Canandaigua, we probably got, 7, right? 7 on our varsity team. And the teams that didn't do so well, didn't have any, right? So
Ronnie trying to get himself in trouble now.
No, what I'm saying is that our training regimen is, when those kids leave Monster Lacrosse practice or and they go to play for their scholastic teams, they shine. And
Ronnie, what I like about what you're doing, and I don't really know if any of the other ones are doing, without trying to make this a commercial for what you've got going on, which would be fine because, hey, it's your podcast. I'm just saying, you bring in seniors, you bring in players, and you have them coach the younger kids. You have the 2019s, the 2020s coaching the 25s, 26s, and 27s. And that, to me, when you're talking about the feeder programs, I think that's more important to have the kids who went through the program cycle back down than it is just having the program in and of itself.
Yeah, we really, I'm so proud of the kids that come back and coach. The Sampone twins and Morgan Schwab, they're my assistants on the 22 team. And believe me, I need them. Mm-hmm. And they travel right with me. They, the whole 9 yards, and they do an outstanding job of, teaching the kids, the fundamentals of what they have learned coming up.
How important is terminology when you're talking about the younger players? And it just seems to me that the Schwabs and the Sampones and the seniors that are going through now, they can better get the kids at the lower levels to understand the terminology that you're going to use as you're getting coached with each different level. Do you understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? How important is that?
It's really important because it's building a culture, and they've learned the culture and they've had success.
Okay.
They're obviously reaping the benefits of, they're going to top Division I schools, and they're in their future, and then they come back and they're teaching, the little ones exactly what they were taught, exactly how they were taught, so we can make sure that the pattern stays the same. And like I said, I hate to guarantee it, but if you just follow our pattern, you're gonna have those opportunities, and you're gonna have the opportunities to go play against the best teams in the country. And you're gonna, if you look on the turning machine for the Live Love Lax, our 25 team, or our 26 team was down there battling with the top teams in the country, and those kids are only in 5th grade.
Yeah,
all those teams down there, especially in the South, Maryland, New Jersey area, they already played a league with 30 games. So this is our second tournament, and we're down there battling with them, and at every level, at every age level. And we didn't win every game, but I think we won. If you put the whole club in picture together for this tournament this past weekend, we were 70%. And we won 70% of our games.
It sounds to me, though, at this point, I always like to say whenever I'm doing sectionals games, whenever I'm doing one-and-done games, I always tell the seniors, you're not defined by the outcome, you're defined by the effort. You're defined by your attitude, because the scoreboard isn't going to help you in the real world. Whether you won today or not will not help you once you get out into the real world. But your preparation, your attitude, and your effort, that will stick with you, and that will help you as you move out into the real world. And it sounds like, certainly they're kids. They want to go out and get the dub. No doubt about that. But there's just as much focus on the effort as there is the outcome, the preparation. And again, there's nothing wrong with letting kids want to win.
Yeah. And we definitely, I shouldn't say that's the difference. I think that's what we do, is we train and then we test. We train and then we test.
That's what the game is.
Right.
That's what the game is, Ronnie. The game, liken that to a test and practice, is the game is the test for what you learned in practice. Practice is where you do all the learning. The game is just to find out how well you learned all of that. At least that's my philosophy.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like I said, train, test, and go through that protocol from when they're little. Then when they get to their tour, right, it's very tough to explain to a bunch of kids who are not in tour yet how come, we're not every kid, the best kids aren't playing 90% of the time, and the parents are losing their minds because their kids are playing on the defensive end, or they're not getting enough runs at midfield, and it's the hardest thing is trying to prepare the parents and the kids. Look at we want to win, and we're going to go out there and we're going to compete to win because we've trained you to do that. But the big picture is the tour. Right, the big picture is how you're going to play, this fall. Like I was in my 22 team, which I coach. I'm trying to put in a new offense, right? And they're like, "What are you putting this new offense in for? This offense, our offense works well for us." And I'm saying, well, when we get to the tour, you're going to need more than one offense.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and that's a little tough for them to. To realize, because obviously you got helicopter parents, bulldozer parents, we call them now. But that's my Monday morning, text. Well, this, the offense, this and that, and my kid's not playing, and this kid, and it's like we're just preparing you for the tour.
Preparing you. I always say, as a coach, I specialize in youth coaching. The scholastic thing, too many politics involved. But I always say, my job is to prepare your kid for the next level. So I'm teaching 5th grade, I'm teaching your kid what he's going to need to know, or her, at 6th, and then 6th up into modified. And then the modified is where you turn. That's where you turn the corner and get them ready for the JV and the varsity. So you just got to be consistent. Be consistent and persistent in, educating the parents just as much as the kids.
So let me ask you this question as a youth sports expert. Right.
I like that.
How do you, what do you say to the parent when you have 3 kids that play midfield, right? First line midfield. 3 kids that play second line midfield. 3 kids that play third line midfield. If we have 3 midfield lines, what do you say to the parent of the 4th midfielder that there's 3 kids better at this point? and then watch them melt, because they want to compare. All the parents want to compare their kid to another kid on their team.
Well, that's the first thing you do, Ronnie, is you tell them don't compare to other kids. Compare them to who they were yesterday. I know it's very cliche, but to me, the art of competition is competing against who you were the last time you played, not the team you're playing. That's to be competitive. Competition to me is being better than who you were. So you just have to tell mom and dad, listen, everybody has a role, and we have to teach the kids to relish the role that they have. Okay, with that said, it's not about playtime. It's not about playtime. It's about your role within the dynamic of the team. Before we go on, you have an option, okay? You're playing travel, but the YMCA, they need 2 or 3 players. So if you're not happy here, you have to be that guy, Ronnie. I'm that guy. You have options, okay? If you don't like this option, you can exercise another option. With that said, you work on the kids. You put mom and dad aside. You tell the kids, when you're on the floor, there's one voice you listen to. That's mine. You listen to my voice. You don't listen to mom and dad, you listen to me. Because mom and dad are 90% of the time telling you the opposite of what I want. I want you to slow down, they're telling you to hurry up. I want you to hurry up, they're telling you to slow down. With that said, as a number 2, you have to push number 1 to keep their spot. That's your role right now, okay? To push number 1 to keep their spot. But if they don't keep their spot, or if something happens where they can't have that spot, you're up. You've got to be ready at any moment, okay? It's not about me, it's about we. And you just, if mom and dad don't get that, then it's on them. It's not on you. It really isn't. And then, like, I think I've told you this before, but somebody used to use this, fair isn't always equal. Fair isn't always equal. When that was used against my kid, I didn't like it. But then I started to think about it, and I realized what it meant, okay? What I do is 99% of the time, Ronnie, that kid who's 4th on the depth chart is late for practice, is not at every practice, is, trying to decide, do I want to go to Girl Scouts or do I want to go to practice? Which one do I want to do? You know what I mean? So you have to tell that parent, you want your kid to be a 1, put in the work that a 1 puts in. Plain and simple. Right. We have a depth chart, and right now, your kid isn't producing, so that's how you deal with it. Right. And Ronnie, you know this. If they can't deal with it, that's on them. Exercise your options.
And sometimes, I think the gray area is not only, okay, not that their kids aren't producing, but maybe there's 3 kids that are producing more, right?
Sure.
Not that their kid isn't capable, but there's 3 kids that are better.
That's valid. That's a good point.
And that sometimes seems to me is the hardest conversation to have to the parents, because they want to say, well, my kid's better than Susie. We had in our 22 group, we had a parent, probably a year ago, who sat me down and was like, I'm a stat person. I go on stats, and my daughter is producing. She scored, 75 goals in JV lacrosse last year. And I'm like, there's a big difference between JV lacrosse and monster lacrosse. I mean, all our kids, but getting the parents to understand and not see. I got a text this weekend from a parent. Same thing. My daughter's scored 35 goals in a season for the varsity team, and she's playing defense for you. And that's the biggest part of youth sports, and the problem is they're comparing to other kids. They're comparing to other experiences. And thus, they can say, well, we can go to this club and we'll play first line. And I'm the first one to say,
exercise your options.
Feel free, go, try it out, do what you got to do. But getting them to realize that if they just follow the pattern, if they just follow the system, they're going to be successful. But sometimes you can't just throw a blanket over everybody. Sometimes you have to deal with it on an individual basis. As a basketball coach, I've got a parent coming to me, my kid wants to play point, my kid wants to play point, my kid wants to play point. Okay, fine. We get a 20-point lead. I put the kid in at point. We lose the 20-point lead because he turns the ball over every time. I look at the parent as if to say, are we done with this conversation? And they get it. Right. Sometimes you just have to walk up and punch that 800-pound gorilla right in the mouth, right? And sometimes, but well, I get to this weekend coming up. The schedule is so spread out, so I'm fortunate. I get to coach just about at least a few games of every team. which is going to be a big, shake up to some of the parents. Some of the parents are like, "Oh yes, Ronnie's going to coach this weekend," and let me tell you something. They're gonna leave New Jersey, faster than the expressway can take them, because I'm going to come in and I'm going to play to win, and I'm going to play the kids that are going to put us in the best situation
based on merit,
based on how they play this week in practice and how they play from the opening whistle.
Yes.
So I think it's going to be an eye opener for some parents this weekend. And me being the director of the club and my wife being the owner, it's tough sometimes though. You're looking at, you look at a business model of it, right? But I think the business model comes from the lower age groups, to build that base as far as a business model. When you get up to, the age groups of the tour and stuff like that, and you don't want to take that tour, I'm okay with that. Here's your money back. I'm the first one to write them a check back. But, I'm juggling business and winning games and so forth. But the parents, I think they just need to take a step back and let the process roll. Because let me ask you a question. If if you're looking ahead, and the year group older than you, and all of them have basically signed committed to Division I schools, and I'm looking at you saying, I'm guaranteeing you that's going to be one of those kids, right? Are you going to start bitching about the offense?
What? Any Bills fans? Are you a Bills fan? Trust the
I
process.
like the Bills. Yeah.
Trust the process. The process works. The process works. But mom and dad, they only see right now. They don't see the big picture. They just, see that their kid, my kid's being treated unjustly. And then, of course, we've got the vicariousness. We've got the people living vicariously
through their kids.
And through the kids, and competitive parenting and all that other good stuff. Just, I don't know, Ronnie. Sometimes it just weeds itself out.
Right.
Sometimes parents get so mad that they're like, all right, we're leaving. And you're like, whew, that kind of thing. You obviously don't want to lose them, but sometimes it's like
it's best for everyone that that they go.
Now, as a college coach, you've coached college, now you've coached high school. Is there a difference? I've always ascertained, and it's been my experience, that in high school you have to deal with more politics. You have to deal more with going into the AD's office and hearing about it, and that goes on everywhere. I'm not giving any specific examples. I'm just saying, versus college, where you can go, okay, your parents are pains in the butt. I'm just not going to put you on the team. Does that take place at all?
At the college level?
Yeah.
No, very rarely. I mean,
Okay.
I think in my tenure there, I had maybe 2 incidents about, with parents. And
Okay.
because, they, for one, they're being paid to go to college. Okay. They're not, in Scholastic, every player's parent is a taxpayer in that district, and so they have their right to that. But in college, it's different. In college, we're actually paying you to be there, so we're paying you for your job. If you're not going to do your job, then we can't continue to pay you, and scholarship wise and
Gotcha.
be there. So
Yep.
we didn't run into that. But politically, as you said, like there's politics, and if I think that the politics could be taken out of scholastic sports in general, with a few fixes. For one, I think it needs to be told up front to the parents, and how kids sign contracts, they're not supposed to drink and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think the parents should have to sign contracts.
Some schools, some programs, some coaches do that.
That states very specifically, look, you have no say at all over playing. Your only job as a parent is to support. I think that would make things a lot easier on coaches, right? Because I'm an unconventional hire in Canandaigua, as you know, because I'm not in the district. I'm not a school teacher. I'm not an educator. So, but I look at every other. There's not a lot of guys like me or women like me that have jobs like that, right? Everyone. I mean, you look at all the schools.
99% of them are educators, and it's by design that way. It is by design. It's in contracts and all kinds of things that they get first look.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think that they're more well versed in handling, because they're handling the kids during the day in their general behavior and so forth. But I've yet to find one educator that to tell me that whether issuing a math exam, that a parent is sitting outside the window yelling and screaming at their kid, and then turning yelling and screaming at the coach or the teacher for not giving their kid an opportunity to take the exam. Right?
That's a valid point.
I mean, you just don't see it,
Yeah.
right? And because what do you think the administration would say with a parent standing outside a window of a room yelling and screaming at their kid?
Call the police.
In a minute, right? I mean, that would happen,
Yeah.
right away.
Yes, it would.
And I think that the same thing needs to come to scholastic athletics. In Maryland, we always say Maryland is so far more advanced than we are in girls lacrosse. Well, they don't play modified lacrosse in Maryland. They play for their clubs. So there's no, Canandaigua was playing Pittsford modified this afternoon. They play for their club teams up until 9th grade. Then they go play for their high school teams. And, so they don't have the shop teacher out there collecting a paycheck to teach. We're fortunate in Canandaigua. We have Sue Ellis that coaches our modified team, and Eric Martin that coaches our modified team. They've been longtime coaches, right? But I look around in the districts and see, and I even talk to, my own kids, about it was people that they coached them at the modified level really had no background in lacrosse. They were able to get the job because they were a teacher.
Yes.
And so I think that's a difference maker. I think that, if we could find a way to have the parents sign a contract, so we could say, okay, here's the contract. You said you weren't going to do this. I think that would ease things up on a scholastic level coaching wise. So, I get to go to the Board of Education tonight to receive recognition for winning the Section 5 championship this year with Canandaigua, and all the girls are going to be there. And but I have to go meet with Jim Simmons, right, for a follow-up, and I have to get rehired. And hopefully, I do get rehired. I want to come back. So,
well, I've told you before, not trying to rub your rhubarb. I want you to be back. This was a great year for me for Chosen Spot Radio. I was at 20 of your 21 games. I missed your opener at Scanny Atlas.
Yeah.
I missed your season opener. But, yeah, so I fully support. If anybody was to ask me, nobody did, but if anybody was to ask, I would fully support bringing you back and having everything the same way as it was this year.
I'm looking forward to it, and I'm hoping, and I've had a brief conversation with the superintendent and the AD about it, and I think it's going to be a good fit going forward.
Excellent.
So, the future in Canandaigua is super bright.
I believe it is. You're losing a little bit, but you've got a lot coming up, and it's a great feeder program.
Yeah.
That's what separates Canandaigua. When we've had this conversation, that's what separates Canandaigua from a lot of different programs. I think Canandaigua's the example.
Right.
They set the bar as far as feeder programs go. And that's not just lacrosse. That's every sport.
Yeah, you could look across countywide and talk about the teams and talk about who's coming up and so forth. And the good thing about me having a club team is I see the kids coming up in each different school district. So I know the top 4 kids in Brighton that are coming up, and the top 4 kids in Fairport, and building around those kids. Each school district builds around those kids. It's going to make for a more competitive. Wait till Victor. Victor's got a lot of young kids, right?
Oh, yeah.
9th grade. And they're going to be really good. All those 9th grade kids, and even the 10th grade, the 10th grader, Kylie Gelbert, who we'll talk about in a little bit, from Victor, when they get all on the field together next year, they're going to be very dangerous. That's who I'm, fearful of. I got to keep my eye on is that Victor team, because I think their youth is going to be coming up strong. But we talked about before, like some of the other schools lost so many kids that we don't know how competitive they're going to be. Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure I'm looking at any team falling off. Maybe a couple. And I did hear the Penfield's going back to A. Did you hear that?
I've heard rumblings. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which will make for a better A tournament, right?
Yes.
So, instead of 3 teams that are competitive, at least they'll give it 4. Mm-hmm. So Section 5 is looking good in general.
I think so. I think so. We just and God, we've beat this thing to death. We got to compete with Long Island. We got to figure out how to beat Long Island. And then once we've also got to throw Section 3 in there because Section 3 has been not as tough, but they've been a thorn in the side as well.
So next year, just so you know, that it goes to the rotation of the state tournament. Section 5, if they get past Section 6, would have to play Section 3 in the semifinals.
Section 3, yeah.
In the semifinals.
Yep.
And then the great and almighty Long Island in the championship. So
Grr.
at least we'll have 4 teams playing for a championship next year if we get by Section 3. Which you maybe have a couple get by and a couple not. But
I mean, you still got to get by Scanty Atlas, FM, South Jefferson could throw themselves in there.
Beeville, Beeville's got almost
yes.
every kid coming back. And
Absolutely.
So they're going to face off either against one of our A teams next year. So it's going to be a battle. It's whoever prepares the best, though, from now until then.
I tell everybody, next season starts tomorrow.
Right.
Next season. Which, by the way, I would like that to be a topic we talk about next week because you said playing around. Fitz just gave us we're closing in, music. So I would like if we can have a reminder, talk a little bit about the year-round thing, and that is meshes and gels with what we were just talking about now in preparation, that kind of thing. But I think you should do your Fairport Hots top 5.
My Fairport Hots top 5 is going to be based around what I've seen this weekend as far as recruitment for 2021s.
And that's all you, because I do not know what's going on with the recruits.
So
I'm not in that. So.
Pretty much all the 2020s, except like I said, for one, are gone in the area. Right.
Okay.
When I say gone, they're committed to schools. Even even Relentless Hustle and Common Goal have kids that are committed to Division I schools.
And you're talking about juniors.
Correct.
Yeah.
So now it's tour season for the sophomores, right?
Okay.
And based on all the college coaches that I've spoken to this weekend and seen at the games, I have 5 kids, from that 2021 team who are probably going to be recruited by all the top schools. And like I said, this is only based on what the feedback I got from the college coaches that I spoke with.
Okay.
So the first kid that I think is, commodities, I guess we call them commodities now for Fairport Hots top 5 at 5. Now they've become commodities because all these college coaches are buying for them, right? I'm going to start with number 5. I'm going to go with Caroline Murphy. Okay, the Murph dog from Mercy.
Mercy,
right?
yeah.
She showed very well this weekend. She showed her athleticism in front of a lot of college coaches. So I'm going to put her in at number 5.
All independent league, I believe.
Yeah. And the next, I'm going to take a Section 3 kid out of there, Emma Gebhardt, who plays for Monster. She might be the best attacker in my mind in the 21 class in the Northeast. But she garnered, she's an Ivy League kid as well. So she had everyone looking at her, right?
Okay.
Because she's, she can go to the Ivies because she's that, smart a kid.
Now, what school is she in?
She goes to Beeville.
Beeville.
Yep, and she's a 2021 Monster player. The next one I'm going to go with from Victor is Kylie Gelbert.
Okay.
So Kylie's coming off a knee injury, right? She had a torn ACL, but she's cleared to play now. She's got the brace on.
She's a game changer too.
She is, and she is highly touted by the college coaches. They all asked about Kylie, which is great for her because she didn't have a scholastic season, and she, really didn't have a full fall season either. Or a fall season. So it happened almost a year ago. So she missed the fall tour. She missed the Scholastic. But the college coaches that still have her on the list are a lot of them in big schools. So Kylie Gelbert's going to come in at number 3.
Okay.
My number 2 is my own daughter, McKenna Davis. She's garnered a lot of interest from schools. As we've talked about before, she's got it to her top 5. All 5 schools were there this weekend, reaffirming that they do have general interest in her. And we'll be watching her going forward. And it's not even the new kid on the block, but the girl that I thought showed very well this weekend the most was Rhea Davis from Russian Rieta,
The lefty.
the lefty.
She can ball, man.
She can.
Oh, yeah.
She made some really, really hard, fast, strong shots and went to the goal super hard and made some nice feeds. She did what she needed to do when she needed to do it. And I thought that, she probably showed the best this past weekend for 2021.
What I like about her, watching her, is as she goes down, she gets right back up. She doesn't try to sell. At least this is from what I've seen.
Yeah.
She doesn't try to sell. She doesn't flop. She doesn't try to get the call. She goes down. If she doesn't get a call right away, she hops right back up and gets right back to it. At least based upon what I've seen over. So.
Yeah, and let me tell you, if you give her a step, she's going to let that rocket launcher go.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
She shot very well this weekend, and so I was glad to see her, really come off her scholastic season, having a good scholastic season, right into the club tournament season, and do well. And like I said, I think she showed the best.
Well,
Fairport Hots.
3 things. I agree with all of your list.
Well, thanks.
All right. The next thing is I think I would like to. I'm going to find the time to be able to hit some of the club games.
Mm-hmm.
The club games. And the third is my time. I'm going to do 3. I'm going to do 3. The FLX software top 3.
Okay.
And those are my gripes about rules and girls lacrosse, because I'm trying to find somebody from U.S. Lacrosse to put on the air so we can have a discussion. We can talk off the air all we want, but I want to be able to talk. I'd love to have them in the seat. In fact,
Sure.
I'd love to put them in the seat so we can look eye to eye and have these conversations. But I'm trying to get somebody from U.S. Lacrosse, whether it's the local Rochester chapter, Western New York, Syracuse, national, whatever. I have put out some contacts to try and hear back. But first, and you said that it's supposed to be that way, but it doesn't always apply. If you're fouled during the act of shooting, let the goal stand. Put your little flag back in your pocket, wave it off, and let the goal stand and move on.
Okay, so can I intercede real quick?
You
on
can
that?
do whatever you want.
So there is a rule, that is coming, that is in college now, that is applicable. That if you if it's in the act, if the ball goes in at the same time, it's going to be a goal.
Okay.
The only thing that can stop that is shooting space. They will not right now you do simultaneous shooting space goals.
Okay, a shooting space violation is different because then you're talking about dangerous.
Correct.
It's danger. Then you're adding an element of safety.
Yep.
So that's okay. But if a girl eats a stick or gets a check, unless it's a headshot and you're going to throw a yellow card, obviously.
Correct.
But if it's just a foul, if it's a cross check, and she scores, let the goal stand, because 3 or 4 different occasions, and a couple of them were Canandaigua, where they scored and then they waved the goal off, and then they went to the free position and they missed. They didn't, or they got stuffed. Let the goal stand.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't reward bad defense. Don't reward a cheap foul, because most of them are strategy. You know that. So the second, you've got to time the clear. You got to time a clear. You can't let the goalie just camp at the 25-yard line and while everybody's marked up and just, stand there for 2-3 minutes. Again, somebody's going to say, well, it's up to the other team to come down and put some pressure on her. I'm not talking about the strategy. I'm talking about the rule. Mm-hmm. Boys have it. I want the girls to have it. You've got to have a timed clear. It's just the pace of the game. Input on that one?
I agree with that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the next one, you know where I'm going with the next one. Shot clock.
Shot clock.
Please, pretty please. I don't care if it's 2 minutes. I don't care. Just you have to have a shot clock at the girls' level. We've been telling everybody it's coming. It's just a matter of budgetary. I want to know. Yeah. I got to find out.
We got to do the digging.
Like I said, I'm digging. I've got the shovel in the ground. I'm trying to listen. U.S. Lacrosse. I don't want to put you on the spot. It's not like I'm one of those gotcha guys. That's not the idea here. The idea is to dig and find out, why isn't there a shot clock? Why isn't there the process underway to get the shot clock? We got it in D1, D2, D3. Why? Is it at the junior college and JC? It's everywhere but high school.
But high school.
If the idea isn't for the near future, why?
Right.
And what is it about the pace of the game that you think it's okay that we don't need the shot clock. So those are my top 3 biggest rule gripes.
Okay.
Because I wasn't sure where you were going to go. We had already done, the Section 5 thing. I did name all my Canandaigua players of the year. Did you agree or disagree with any of those?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to put it out there, I did make my Section 5 player of the year Clancy Rood.
Okay.
She is my Section 5 player of the year. And again, somebody's going to go, it's just because you're a Canandaigua homer. No, it isn't. It's because I saw them play 20 times this year.
Right.
I saw them play 20 games. And I think even if I was open to other, she just, I've beat that horse to death talking about her. You know where I stand with her. So I'm just saying I did make her my Section 5 player of the year. And if you wanted me to name an offensive player of the year, it would be Lexi Branicki.
The big rig.
It would be the big rig. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't change off of Meg Ellis either. Meg Ellis is just, I call her titanium tough. What's Nemo call her? The cheetah?
That's mine.
Is that you?
Yeah, I watched her run one day. I'm like, was that a cheetah out there?
I told you before, she made a liar out of me, man. I said, she's not very fleet of foot. And then she went zing. I was like, I take that back. So
me and Coach Chamberlain were having a conversation this weekend about the schools that, are getting gifts. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, we got, Morgan Schwab going to Virginia, Loren going to Maryland. We got some really, really good kids going to some really good schools. Right. I think 6 to the ACC, 4 to the Big Ten. Niagara with Lexi Branicki and Canisius with Meg Ellis. Those 2 schools are getting a gift in these kids.
What about Albany with Clancy Root?
Albany's I think they realize what they're getting.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not sure that Canisius and Niagara really realized what they were getting with Meg.
I think at the beginning Niagara might not have, but I think they are now because every time I post something or tweet something with the big rig, they're right on it, man. Right. They're retweeting it. They're liking it. So they're watching. Yeah. They're watching. I think they get it. But Canisius, no doubt. They've got Meg Hoffman, so there's some Canandaigua connection there too. So.
But yeah, those are 2 gold mines for us. But thanks everyone for listening this week. We will be back next week. We got a few more weeks left before we take off for the summer of basically club lacrosse now, Rock Stars Girls Lax, and we will talk to everyone next Monday at this time.
rockstarsglax@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Rock Stars.
Rock Stars Girls Lacrosse.
Rock Stars Girls Lacrosse.
The Rock Stars Girls Lacrosse Show with hosts Ronnie Davis and Craig Spazman Simmons.